Hey folks, Nathan here from Star Wars Beyond the Films, the Star Wars Timeline Gold, and the Star Wars Reports Rebels Roundtable, bringing you a look at actually what is somewhat of an older item here. This is Star Wars Age of Rebellion Onslaught at Arda 1, the very first adventure module for Age of Rebellion. I got this quite a while ago as it first came out, and it has taken me this long to actually get through it to be able to provide you with the review. I'll get into why that's the case at the end. It's something that's really only going to be of interest to those who are really chronologically minded like I am. What this is actually a pretty cool adventure. The idea is that you're a rebel team, and you're now joined up briefly with this base on Arda 1, which was set up by a group of rebels who were actually acting against the Empire well before actually joining the Rebel Alliance proper. And now that they are, you're part of that group temporarily as you're visiting the base, and you are there for the Battle of the Gauntlet. You're there when a traitor who's been tricked, basically, into working for the Empire by the death of his family that was actually arranged by the Empire. You are there as this traitor leads an Imperial assault, or leads Imperials to the planet for an assault, on this rebel base. And you have to escape, and eventually make your way, as we get into the 40s here, eventually make your way to another planet, so another cool setting called Jagamir, which is an old Sith world, or near Sith space. And on Jagamir, you wind up hunting down the identity of the traitor, which the game master already knows, but the players won't already know. And in the process, you wind up in a situation where that individual manages to escape and leads you on a chase, which leads you into Part 3. Part 3, which picks up around page 72-ish here. Rendezvous at Ord Radama. Notice that is a location that is used in some of the background materials and whatnot for the Old Republic MMO. I thought that was a very cool connection there. It's one of those old Sith Empire worlds. You wind up in a situation where you are trying to basically race to save an individual and stop some information from getting out by going after the spy and getting to him before his Imperial handlers can, but you wind up tangling with the Imperials by the end anyway, and it makes for a pretty cool encounter. And at this point, you're now on your third planet, which, of course, gets a profile in here with the Devilic species there as the natives. It's actually a really cool scenario, lots of interesting characters, interesting background. For the first adventure for Age of Rebellion, it really is pretty cool, at least the first full-length adventure module. Because of that, it also includes some new game mechanics that you're going to need, which are laid out here on the back nicely for us. Yes, there's a sweeping tale of rebellion and betrayal, yeah. But then we've got new rules for handling mass combat and managing competing events. I found those to be pretty helpful. All new adversaries and vehicles, including the T-47 Sand Speeder. Not Airspeeder, Sand Speeder, TIE Hunter, Viper Probe Droid, and Devilic. Again, that's the species. And the mini gazetteers, as I already mentioned, for Arda 1, Jagamir, and Ord Radama, which are the locations that are going to be used in this story. And of course, it ends with suggestions on how to continue beyond just this story into a broader campaign. Very cool stuff. For someone who's wanting to run an adventure in Age of Rebellion, not sure where to start, this is designed for starting characters. Check it out. Very cool. $30, but you can find it significantly cheaper through different online retailers, Miniature Market, and the like. That's where I got mine. Very good start for the adventure modules for Age of Rebellion as far as the fun factor and just the cool elements that make up this story. Now, why it took so long. If you're not someone who's chronologically minded, or hey, I'd like to find more Legends information inside my source books type minded, you might as well stop watching now. But here's the deal. I put together the Star Wars Timeline Gold. It is the single most comprehensive Star Wars chronology available anywhere in the world. You can find it at starwarsfanworks.com/timeline, and no, by the way, that is not an exaggeration. It's even more comprehensive than anything that Lucasfilm has, because Lucasfilm doesn't use a chronology, they use the Holocron Continuity Database, which is a database, which I've seen bits of thanks to working on things like the Essential Atlas with Jason Fry. I'm very chronologically minded. Excuse me. And I'm trying to look through these books and summarize the stories and the events and the backgrounds of characters and whatnot for the Star Wars Timeline Gold. Even things like character ages get events as birth dates on the Star Wars Timeline Gold. And as I'm going through here, it strikes me There's a ton of great background references. When this character joined the rebellion and why, what happened to this character's family and why and when, and all kinds of things like that. The problem is, these dates are extremely internally inconsistent. Something that's referenced at some point in the book as a few years ago might be referenced elsewhere as happening 2 decades ago. Something that was happening, say, a couple of decades ago might be referenced in another place as happening recently. There's just so much in terms of the date references and time references in this book that don't make any flippin' sense when put side by side that is extremely, extremely frustrating. Now, if you're playing the adventure, you probably won't wind up using many of these references, or if you do, you could just get over the fact that they're not consistent by being vague when you talk about them. But for someone looking for internal consistency and chronological references, this pisses me off to no end. It's a kind of crap you would expect to see when you've got multiple people working on a book who aren't really coordinating with each other. So I checked. Is this one of these multiple people writing the same book, so maybe they were just using different references and didn't coordinate well enough? Not really. You have a lead developer, someone doing writing and additional development, and then you do have 2 people editing and proofreading, and apparently nobody caught the fact that these dates don't make any damn sense together, because they're constantly contradicting themselves. So again, fun story, great story to play for Age of Rebellion. But if you're someone who is into the Legends continuity and you are looking for chronological references, chronological data out of this, whether you're a Chronology fan like me, or just want to see more about the backgrounds of the characters, understand that this book is extremely internally inconsistent, and don't let the frustration ruin your ability to enjoy the adventure, because for the chronologically minded, that is a liability.